Good evening. It is my absolute honor to have been invited to come here. Thank you so much, Alan, for inviting me to come here. The first time I met Alan, the city council, I don't even remember the year, was trying to build 6 gaudy, ginormous electronic billboards in Santa Clarita and put them on our freeways, Las Vegas style. And we all felt that that was not right for our city. We're a small town. We're a big city with a small town feel. So we formed the Anti-Electronic Billboard Committee, and we worked diligently to defeat the city council. They didn't listen to us. We went to board meetings and spoke with them, and they didn't listen to us, and then went forward and voted for it. So we got a petition, a official petition going, and we undid their vote with a petition. And then they decided to spend $250,000 of our city's funds to put their billboards on the ballot, right? As what was it called, Alan? Measure S. And we fought it. And I remember the night of those elections, we all gathered at a Persia restaurant, and then when that closed, we went to some other restaurant, I forget. But we were down by 3%, and we slowly came back, and we won. And we defeated their measure. This is the city council's unanimous measure they put on the ballot, and we defeated it as a people. And ever since then, I realized that if we as a community stand up for our own people, we can really make a difference in this town. We really can. And the problem, I don't like to talk a lot of negative, but to get to solutions, you have to understand what the problems are. The issues with our city council are the following. First of all, they are very beholden to big money interests. So to developers, so that's why they keep building more and more homes that are $800,000-$900,000 homes that are not affordable, but it makes the developers a lot of money. And they're beholden to those people because they give them campaign contributions so they can keep getting reelected, right? And which is another reason why we need term limits. But put that aside for a minute. So that's the first thing, is we have city council members who are beholden to big money interests. And what that does is, when they're in their closed sessions, or when they're in their public sessions, they're not thinking about the people who are in our mobile home communities. They're not thinking about people who are living in our apartments. They are not thinking about people who are not rich and are not powerful, okay? They will give you homage, but they won't give you their votes. And that's one of the things I really want to bring to local governance. I know a lot of you disagree with some of my beliefs on a national level, okay? And I understand that. I appreciate that. But what I want you to understand is, on a local level, I really fight for our community in a way that doesn't involve having me in the pockets of the big money interests. And where does that come from? It comes from a life of being an athlete and being a coach. And why is that? It's because I don't care about losing. When I ran for school board, I ran a very fun, exciting campaign. People told me, do background research and opposition research on your competitors, and we need to come out with stuff against them. I said, no. That's not how you run a political campaign. Let's just keep it positive and fun and exciting. And if we lose, we lose. I've lost hundreds of different sports games and competitions. So not only do I know how to win, and I play to win, but I also know how to lose. So that's not the impetus of my campaign. The impetus of running for politics for me is to help people who don't have the right voice in the ear of our politicians. And the reason they don't have it is because politicians, from the time they announce running for office, they change immediately. The first thing they think of is, how can I get elected? And what gets people elected is money, okay? That's why I don't focus on money. I focus on getting the word out in a fun, exciting, happy way. And I think that works. I think that really does. I can overcome the money issue. But once you start thinking about money and how to get millions of those flyers that we get when it close to elections, then you change as a person. You become beholden to raising that money. How are we? Are we close? How long do I have? I have been up here for 5 minutes. I think you've got the gist of what I'm trying to say. Let's get to the question and answer. I'm really excited to hear from you guys. But I'm David Barlavi, and I'm running for City Council.
Welcome, David. I'm Gene Dorio. I'm a physician here in Santa Clarita for 35 years. One of the concerns that I've had recently is the Human Relations Roundtable. That it's a group that people here have said we want to go to that roundtable, but it's a closed meeting. And I don't know why it's a closed meeting when there is a Brown Act. So I'd like to know your opinion, if you know what the Brown Act, and you probably should, and how that Brown Act does or does not apply to the roundtable.
Okay, so some of you, thank you for your great question, by the way. I was very excited about the roundtable too. As some of you may know, I'm an attorney. So what I want to, I'm a tax attorney. I fight the IRS. But what I want to tell you is, whatever I say is probably just speculative because I've not researched it, okay? But I'll tell you what my gut feeling is about that roundtable. The City Council is probably very afraid of some of the opinions that may come out of that roundtable, some of the discussions that may be had, okay? Because it doesn't jive with their own opinions, okay? So that's probably why they have forced them to be a secret organization. I don't think it's right. I think if you're going to do a roundtable that's supposed to bring the community together, you can't do it out in secrecy. That's not the American way. The American way is sunshine. You have to shine the light of the sun on everything you do, especially when it's related to governance and things that have to do with the community. If you run a corporation and you want to have a private board meeting, that's your prerogative. But if you're doing anything that's for the community, especially if it's funded that way, full sunshine on it. So I agree with you. We need to change that. Thank you. Next question.
What is your belief on Planned Parenthood, CRT, and socialism?
Okay, thank you very much. So, you know, I would love to see a Planned Parenthood open up in Santa Clarita. They do great work for women's health care. It's free health care for women. I know a lot of you are grunting because there's a misimpression that most of the work Planned Parenthood does is related to abortion, but that is absolutely false. A super majority of the work that Planned Parenthood does is women's health care, and they do it for free, and it's a great organization.
Well, if it's for free, don't the taxpayers pay for it? How can it be free? No, it's okay. Okay, sorry.
Okay. As far as CRT goes, you know, CRT is something they teach you in college. There's a misimpression that it's taught before college, which it's not. But CRT is taught in college. I was taught CRT, critical race theory, in college, and I appreciated it. It really broadened my mind into the history of America, the history of how we treated the Native Americans, the indigenous Native Americans, the African Americans, the Irish, the Italians, and how race played a part in America becoming the great country that it is today. I think it is important. If you don't know your past, you don't know your future. So it's very important to understand where we came from, why, whose backs we walked over to get where we are today. That doesn't mean we have to blame people today for what happened in the past, but the resistance to learning history is not a good way to make progress and to understand where we need to end up. And what was your third question? CRT? Socialism. Yes. So, as you know, America, for well over 100 years, has been about 50% socialist, 50% capitalist. And I think that's a good mix. I would like to see a little bit more socialism. Like I'd like to see Medicare for all. Medicare is a wonderful socialist organization. So is the VA. So is our police department, our public education. All these things are examples of government-run institutions. That's socialism. They're not owned by private companies. So America has a very nice mix that we've had through the years of both socialism and capitalism. But there are some more things. Like I think if a mother gives birth to a newborn, they should be able to take off work to care for that newborn, and they should get paid for it. So those are the things that I believe in. And so I do agree with, I don't know if that's what you wanted to hear, but I do like the fact that America is not a purely capitalistic country, and we do provide for our soldiers and for our police and fire department and things of that nature. And public education, of course, is probably the biggest socialist institution in America.
I really get a thunder taken out of me by you.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, to tell you the truth, your personality is really great, but your beliefs are absolutely horrendous, in my opinion. It's my humble opinion.
I love you for saying that, by the way. Thank you.
I have a few questions that have already basically been asked, but you're saying that CRT has not been put in anything but the universities. I mean, CRT has been slowly seeping into our country, into our school. The question is coming, and I want to know why it is in the public schools, it's in the private schools even now, and it's been coming since before I was born. So it's been very slow. I want to know how come you're accelerating it so fast now. That's not what I was going to ask, but I'm being forced to put it all into one little thing. You are accelerating CRT in our schools, and it is filthy. It is so full of filth. It's not even funny. My question is why?
I love
Why would you want filth?
I'm going to tell you this. I'm really sorry you got angry, but I love what you're saying. This is a great discussion. It really is, because it's important to have different opinions about different things. CRT is not taught in, I have a really loud voice to begin with, so I'll take a few steps back. CRT is not taught before college. It's just not. However, here's the misimpression. CRT is a very specific thing. It's a theory of history, okay? And it's a college level course. And it's taught in college level courses. Now, history is also taught in public schools. But just because there is a part that you learn in history in a public school that matches something that CRT teaches in college, that doesn't mean they're teaching critical race theory in that school. That's just not logical. So we have to remain logical when we have these discussions. But I love that you brought that up and that you have worries about that. And if you are worried about it, I want to alleviate your worry. No one is teaching CRT in anything except college. And I love that it's being taught in colleges, but just because it corresponds, just because there's a correlation doesn't mean that it's actually being taught as a theory itself. It's a very advanced theory. Very advanced theory.
Next question.
But thank you for your question.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, Sandra.
Okay, so my question is, you mentioned earlier in your speech that you agree that you would be for the people, of the people, and you agree that the people are the ones who can make a difference. Serving as on the board of Saugus, I've been there not many times, and I've heard a lot of people, parents, speaking, the community speaking about concerns that are extremely deep to them. And I don't remember you ever trying to come to the table and discuss these things with any of the parents and their concerns. And I was just curious, what do you think that you did positively for the Saugus School Board? And how do you think that parents can really trust you after that example?
Excellent question. First of all, if I knew there was a table to be had, I would have come. I have no problem sitting down with anybody and having a logical, rational discussion about the science of virology, and I'm assuming you're talking about masks and vaccinations. Those are great discussions to have, and in fact, I have them all the time. You know, I smoke cigars all the time. We have those discussions at our cigar lounge. So, what did I bring to the school board? Where I was on the subcommittee for health and safety for COVID, and we had probably at least 7, maybe 8 different Zoom meetings at the time. Each meeting was 3 to 4 hours long, where we discussed every single aspect of what every level of government, healthcare, was telling us that we need to do, and trying to go beyond that. In other words, what was the World Health Organization saying? What was the CDC saying? What was the state organization for healthcare saying? What was our local health department saying? And we looked at all those thoroughly and tried to follow every single aspect for our children, because remember, that's when they were still in school. But once they pulled them out, then we had to work on, we had to shift gears to help kids learn at home and learn on the computer, because then the virus was not a concern about kids being in classrooms. What I'm most proud of is that the diligent work that we did at our school district, and by the way, I'm here speaking as a candidate for city council, not as a school board member. What I'm really happy about, and I'm very proud of, is we didn't have any kids get really sick. We didn't have any kids, God forbid, pass away, and we didn't have a lot of kids give that horrid virus to their parents or to their grandparents, especially before we had the vaccinations out. I'm very, very proud of that. I think the safety issue was excellent, and you know, you can argue, I understand you can't argue that just because nothing happened, what you did was useless. But that's not a logical argument, okay? That's not a logical argument. A logical argument is, you did something and nothing happened.
Next question.
Sure, certainly, thank you.
Hello, thank you for being available and taking questions.
You're quite welcome.
My question is, as a current school board member, basically, what do you consider your accomplishments? And I'll kind of frame it this way. I believe it was a written statement by Dr. Sharice Moore, who's a school board member, trustee in the Hart School District. She had written, I think it was in a kind of in an invite for fundraising. Is that me?
I don't know. It's okay, keep going.
So she had written that one of her accomplishments that she was proud of, described it as an accomplishment, is that she brought CRT into the school system. Now this is the Hart School District. So for you, and you've been a board member, school board member for a few years, maybe you could help identify what you consider your accomplishments, maybe even starting in year 1 and along the years as it's progressed to your being in the school board for a few years. So basically accomplishments.
Okay, thank you. That was a great question. You know, one of the first things I learned is we have this impression that politicians make decisions on their own, and they win or lose or gain or get defeated on their own feet. Boards don't work quite that way. I learned this very quickly. There's 5 members. You're all equals, and you all have to come together, at least 3 of you. And there is a impetus to make sure that all your voting is unanimous. You try to vote unanimously. So if something is proposed that only has 3 or 4 votes, it gets sent back to the so-called drawing board to get fixed, to get massaged into getting that unanimous vote, because it creates unity for the whole district. Okay? So once I realized that, I realized that no matter how many great ideas that I have, it's really teamwork. All our accomplishments are all 5 of ours. And that's very important to know on a board. And all the things we fail at is also equally amongst all 5 of us. So I'm going to answer your question now. What I think I personally brought to the school board is a new attitude, a new look that sees our entire school district as a united community. And we're not confrontational anymore. If you could see, our unions sign memorandums of understanding now very easily. There's no threats of strikes. There's no threats of walkouts. We have a great relationship, and that's if I were to say, is my greatest, not accomplishment, but the thing that gives me the greatest feeling is how united our school district has become from before I came on board.
So we are right now out of time.
Wow. Oh, no, we have no.
Don't the 20 minutes go fast?
Alan, we have questions.
We are out of time. David will be here to answer more questions. So, in your 5-minute summation, could you tell us why everybody hates Barlavi?
Because he wants the
Everybody
man.
hates Dave.
He likes the mandate. He's for abortion. No. He's for communism. Do you want me to
My
go on?
question was never an answer.
Why does everybody hate Dave?
Because we came here to talk, because you're lying. So no, the answer to you is no.
I think the main reason everybody hates Dave is because I'm so handsome and so debonair. No, that is not the reason. I think the reason I came up with that slogan is through the years, because I've tried to speak truth to power, and I've always tried to tell things as best I can as they are, both the Republican parties, not the Republicans, but both the Republican parties and both Democratic parties in Santa Clarita despise me. One of the Democratic parties will not let me in. I am banned from being a member, even as a Democrat. Okay? And the second one actually tried to kick me out. Okay? For speaking truth to power. All right? Now, here's the wonderful thing. I have raised a good amount of money. I'm very proud of the amount of money I've raised. Almost half of it comes from Republicans and half from Democrats and a lot from independents. And those Republicans are Trump Republicans. And why do they do that? That's not me. Why do they give me money, even though they disagree with me on those national issues that you guys are so passionate about, and I respect you for that? Why do they feel like I can still do a good job in city council? Because when it comes to local issues, we need somebody in there who stands up for people who don't have a voice. And I believe I have that qualification. And I believe I bring that. Because I gotta tell you, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't care about winning and losing. All I care about is while I'm at the job, in that moment where I have to think about a particular issue, I have to make the right decision for the people. Not whether it's gonna lose me votes or win me votes. So I hope you understood what I said. In the moment, what is not on my mind is if this is going to affect my getting reelected or raising money or any of that stuff. It's really not. In that moment, I only think about what's right for the people, what's right for the downtrodden. Now, listen, you don't have to believe me.
Everything you have done has been against me.
Listen, it's okay. I appreciate you guys. I just want to say, if you want to learn more about me, go to my website. Call me. Like Alan said, I pick up my phone. If you guys want to have coffee, I'm happy to get together. I am here for you guys. I'm always available. And if you want to learn more, if you want to get to know me better, I am available. I'm not on a high hill in a castle. I am here if you want to meet me and you want to talk and have logical, rational discussions about what we disagree about. I'm happy to do that.